Yes, here we are some of us are at the Goethe Institute in Chennai, and others are joining by Zoom. This is a hybrid storytelling event where some of the listeners and some of the tellers are here in person in Chennai, and some are joining by Zoom. So it's wonderful to be in this space again, the auditorium. This is where the Chennai Storytelling Festival began 11 years ago, I think it was 10 and 11 years ago. So here we are once again. So the first storyteller is going to be Pretigaya. And Pretigaya, will you come over here? Yes, come. Go right ahead. Please introduce yourself and the story you're going to tell, and go ahead.
Yes, Eric. So hello and a big welcome to people online and offline. I'm Pretigaya Haran. I have been sharing stories for about 8 years now. Took up my first training under Dr. Eric Miller, and then I've been working mainly in Chennai, and now, of course, a lot of it is online. So I think I will jump into my story right away. The story is called The Pink Refrigerator. I first heard it from a storytelling friend of mine at an event, and it just reached out to me, and I thought this is such a beautiful story, a story not just for kids, not just for adults, but for everybody. I'm sure it'll reach out to each one of you. So once upon a time, there lived a man, Mr. Dodsworth. Mr. Dodsworth lived all by himself in a little single bed kind of a house. And he had very little money with him. He had a small thrift shop, so he would walk up to the place where people throw away their garbage. He would ransack the whole place, find whatever useful things he could, maybe some dishes at times, some toys which still had a little bit of life in them, or anything or everything that he thought which could be resurrected, which could be put to use again. He could make a little bit of money with that, and he would collect that and he would take it home. His home, his shop was all turned into one single bedroom space. He didn't make much of money. He was a bit lazy. He didn't want to work hard, but he made just enough to go by, to get by. And not much into cooking, not much into cleaning, just watching TV the whole day, eating whatever bread or little bit that he could, find somewhere locally, and just get on with that. And that was his life. So one day, as usual, he set out. He took his truck and he went out to this place. And he looked through all the rubbish or garbage which people had thrown away there. There were computers, there were laptops, there were refrigerators, there were all weird things. And he kept looking at them and he kept walking by, and something caught his eye. He moved back, he looked at it, and it was a shiny fridge magnet sticking on to an old pink refrigerator. And he thought, hey, that looks new. Maybe I'll get a little bit of money for that. So he went up to the fridge and he pulled the magnet out, but it was not coming off. He pulled it really hard. It just wouldn't come out. He went back to his truck, pulled out his crowbar, shoved it under the magnet, held the fridge with another hand, and he pulled it with all his might, but it would just not come off. And that's when he noticed there was a piece of paper which the magnet was holding on, and something was written very, very faded on it. He looked at it more carefully and, go color? What do you mean, go color? Just out of curiosity and not knowing what to do, he opened the fridge, and guess what? There were so many different colors. There were crayons, and there were watercolors, and there was drawing books, and there were pencils, and everything was brand new. He thought, hey, this is going to make a lot of money. What luck. He took all of that and he went back to his place. He dusted them off, put them out by the windowsill, and he knew somebody who would be passing by that place would surely drop by and he would make some money. And that's exactly what happened. In just about a couple of minutes, an old lady walked in and she said, excuse me, can I get those drawing books and the colors? What price are they? Mr. Dodsworth thought for a while and then he said, oh, actually, I'm sorry, it's sold out already. She walked back, out disappointed. And he scratched his head and he thought, wait a minute, why did I say it's sold out already? What was I thinking? Actually, I haven't done any coloring in years. Maybe I'll try it myself. So he took those colors and the drawing book. He sat on his table and he started coloring. And he colored and he colored and he sketched the whole day until it was evening. And he looked at the drawing that he had made. It wasn't something like a Picasso or a Michelangelo kind of a painting, but it was good enough. He had made an ocean and he thought, wow, I've never been to the seaside before. I've never seen an ocean in real. Despite that, this drawing has come out pretty well. It was evening by then, as I told you. So he had a sandwich. He watched TV for hours and dozed off in his sofa, as always. The next day, back to the routine, he took his truck. He drove up to that place. He walked looking all around, looking to find some treasure that he could. And once again, the fridge magnet caught his eye. He really wanted that magnet. It was shiny. It was definitely new. I can make some money out of it. So he went up again. Again, he pulled it with all his might. It surely was rusted to the fridge, I suppose. And hey, how is that possible? The paper had a new message. What does it say? Go read. Hey, how is that possible? How can the message change? He opened the door and guess what? There were these volumes and volumes of classics. This is quite a treasure. I am going to make a lot more of money out of this. He just grabbed all of them, dropped them in his truck and drove as quickly as he could. Dusted them off, put them out by the window and waited for the customers to come, waited to make a load of money that day. And yes, within a couple of minutes, a man walked inside and he said, excuse me, those classics look really good. Can I buy all of them? What would be the price? All of them, you say? They are quite rare, you know. Pretty expensive as well. I think they would be... Actually, I'm sorry. Those books are not for sale. Not for sale? The man was surely disappointed. He thought from a second-hand shop, if he was going to get so many books, classics, he would get it for dirt cheaper price. But then, yeah, when he was not willing to sell, there's nothing much he can do. So the man walked away. Once again, Mr. Dodsworth thought, what was I thinking? Why did I tell him these books are not for sale? He pulled a book out and he started reading. And he read. And he read. He read book after book. He read page after page. There were stories of angels and stories of animals and stories of emotions and stories of people, stories of transformation, stories of healing. And he kept reading the whole day. He forgot to watch his TV, his favorite shows. He forgot his dinner and he slept reading those books with the book on his chest. By the third day, he woke up early. He was in a rush to go back to the place, to the pink refrigerator, to the magnet, or rather, the piece of paper. He did not pull the magnet the third day. He looked at the paper carefully. Go cook. And of course, when he opened the fridge, there were lots of ingredients and a recipe book. Well, I've never cooked before. All that I eat is bread and cheese. I wonder what I will do with this. But he took all of those ingredients, those spices, the recipe book, of course, and he rushed home. And today, he did not look at putting it out for sale. He was keen to try something. And he rushed to the kitchen. He opened up the recipe book, looked at a few recipes. This one looks a little easy. Maybe I'll try this to start off. And as he cooked, wow, The food actually tasted delicious. I wonder how that happened. Oh, I'm actually a good cook. And I never knew about that. How strange, he thought. And he was quite happy that for a change, he got to eat something delicious, not the same bread and cheese every day. You guessed it right. The next day, he woke up even earlier. He rushed to the place. He looked at the paper. Grow more? What do you mean, grow more? He didn't wait to think much. He opened the door, and there were lots and lots of seeds, small little packets of seeds, a little bit of soil, a few gardening tools, a few of those pots that he could use. Once again, he collected all of them. He rushed back home, didn't wait to go inside. He went to the backyard right away, dug up the soil, sowed those seeds, poured in some water, cleaned up his hands, tried to see how to use those tools. He enjoyed planting and gardening the whole day, and he thought once again, gosh, I never knew gardening can be so much fun. By the next day, he couldn't wait for the morning to come out. He rushed once again, and there it said, go play. Play? Will there be some football inside? He opened the door, and there was a big, shiny trumpet. Ah, play music. But I have a deaf ear to music. I don't even know note one from two. But he was keen to try. He took that trumpet home and he went, "Pah, pah, pah." You can imagine, as I said, he did not know to play music. It sounded terrible, but he kept at it. He kept trying the whole day and eventually, at least a little bit by the end of the day. He didn't bother to wait and watch his TV. He cooked something for himself. He enjoyed that. He read a few books and he went off to sleep. This is exciting, he thought. The next day, when he rushed there, it said, go explore. I wonder what this is going to be. He opened the door. Nothing. All the shelves were empty. He looked deeper, a little more carefully. He opened up the freezer door. He opened up the drawers underneath. Absolutely nothing. Hey, this is not fair. He had gotten used to getting something new every single day, finding something not just to sell, but something for himself. This is so not fair. There's absolutely nothing inside. Oh, tap. He closed the door. Ah, maybe I'll take the magnet. And tang, 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 tang. The magnet fell on the floor. And the paper which said go explore started flying higher up. He ran behind it to get hold of it. Maybe there's something further behind. Maybe there's something more written inside. Did I miss out on something? But the wind blew the paper higher and higher and higher, and it went across the compound wall. Ah, I wonder what I'll do now. I have absolutely nothing to do. He just went back to his house. He went back to his routine. He ate a bit of bread and cheese. He sat for a little while, dusted a few things that were there by the windowsill. He didn't make or cook anything that day. He didn't want to read the books that day. He didn't want to go planting that day. He didn't want to try his trumpet either. He watched his usual TV, the favorite show that he watched every day. And while he was watching and while he was doing his routine the whole day, he kept thinking, go explore. Go explore. What can it possibly mean? And something suddenly struck him. Go explore. Oh, yes, that's exactly what I'll do. He collected all that he had got in the fridge, the books, the cooking materials, a little bit of his garden as well, although it sounds silly, but he did manage to take that as well. He collected all that he had got from the fridge and he locked his house. He put all of it in his truck. He used the fridge magnet. On a piece of paper, he wrote, gone exploring. And he decided to go and see the seaside, which he had never ever seen before. And that story is called The Pink Refrigerator, written by Tim Egan. Thank you very much.
Here,
Okay.
maybe go to camp with you. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Pretigaya. It was wonderful. Is my image there? Yes, there it is. Good. Okay, so now where did that story come from?
I read it in a book by Tim Egan.
And what really called out to you about that story? Why do you love that story?
I like the way it transformed Mr. Dodsworth completely from being the lazy, following the same routine to trying out new things reluctantly to begin with, and then eventually finding it to be fun and going exploring. I think that was the best part, definitely. And as I told you, I've shared this story a couple of times before. And when I had shared it with young audiences, I would ask the children, what would you think or what would you put in the fridge? Say Mr. Dodsworth comes another day. And I had a really tiny one, I think 3 or 4-year-old, saying, I will put some cleaning brushes and cleaning material because Mr. Dodsworth never cleans up his room. And I think that was really beautiful. And that is something that really, is going to stay with me all my life.
Wonderful. The people listening in by Zoom, do you have any questions or comments, observations, resonations? Anything you'd like to share? Gitanjali, go ahead.
Yes. Well narrated, Pretigaya. Can you just once again tell me the author?
Just a minute, Gitanjali, just trying to switch the volume on here
Go
so
ahead.
the audiences can hear you.
Yeah, make sure her mic is on.
Yes, it is on.
Go ahead.
Gitanjali, go ahead.
Yeah, well narrated. First of all, congratulations. And can you just repeat the author's name, Pretigaya?
Tim Egan. I'll send it to you, Gitanjali.
Yeah, you can just type it in the chat also.
I will.
Yeah, okay, nice. Thank you.
Let's go back to gallery.
Okay.
Barry, any thoughts?
Oh, it was lovely. It was wonderfly told, and it's it's kind of a magical tale, very whimsical. Just why a pink refrigerator, but you don't run into that, and then the message of the magnet, yeah. And it was lovely because we keep thinking, well, what's going to be next, and especially the first phrase, which "go color" doesn't. It doesn't feel as much like a command as, go cook. But yeah, so it grows on you.
Okay, Veena.
I love the lot of suspense. Of course, Pretigaya, well done, beautiful. I love the terrible, I can't say it as good as you. But love the suspense and the pace that it kept going up and up and up and bang. Then it was whether it's the refrigerator or the magnet, which one is stronger. It kept you thinking till you added one more object, which was the note. So lovely story and of course well narrated. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Veena.
Is there anyone here in our live audience that'd like to say something? If you would, I'm afraid you have to come up here and say it from here. No, maybe later.